Hey guys, I apologize, but it's been quite a while since we made our last video. We just got into the dog days of summer and it's been super hot. So actually the hottest summer on record. And so I want to give you guys an update of how the yard's doing. We had like some ungodly number of days over 110 this year. So it was definitely the hottest day or hottest year on record. So wanted to show the peach tree that we have, the Florida Prince. We did a video in the spring kind of showing how everything looked. So we've definitely got some leaf burn on the peach. It's kind of taken a beating this year. But if you were to pull all these burnt leaves off, the whole thing's starting to put out new flush. This is the fall flush that we usually get when it starts cooling down. The nights are getting into the 70s. So this one will come back somewhat in the fall, and then it'll lose its leaves sometime in December or so, December, January. So, but we can definitely get some more growth out of this. One of the things I've learned over the years is that feeding in the fall and making sure that you kind of follow up and continue to give them attention through the fall allows the root system to get a lot stronger and for the tree to stay healthy. So this will start dropping some of these burnt leaves and start growing back some. We'll get some new flush on this, and I will wait for these trees to start going dormant, and then I'll trim them back sizably in January or February. So here is this is the apricot tree, and we had a ton of growth on this year. We have some, obviously it's the same thing, it took a beating in the summer. And so I'm continuing to try and grow some shade trees in behind here that face to the west so that we can create some a better microclimate. But you see we've got some new growth here and some new growth back in here where it's starting to put out new growth again. I'm gonna come through and pull the wood chips back. I like to pull the wood chips back and get right to the right where the roots are. And we'll do some feeding in the fall here. I've got some wood ash that I'm gonna use, along with some moringa powder and some other items that I'll throw on there that I'll put together. I'll even grind up banana peels, orange peels. I use a lot of organic powder that I dry out and grind up and feed. So that's what I'll be feeding in the fall here, just to get them through the winter, and then we will heavy feed in the spring. And then the hydrolyzed fish fertilizer is what I'll give it every 2 or 3 weeks. They just started getting that again. I kind of bailed on feeding them when they were totally stressed out for about a month and a half, and we've started the feeding schedule again. So the feeding schedule will go through about December until they go dormant, and then I'll probably wait a month or two and start in late January is when I usually feed, because it's organic fertilizer and it takes a while for it to break down. So we'll go over here to the nectarine tree. This is the Desert Delight nectarine tree. Got a lot of growth, upward growth on this year. As you can see, it also took a beating in the summer. We've got some burnt leaves here. It's starting to put out a little new growth, but it definitely took a beating this summer. I'm hoping by next summer I'm going to put in another shade tree. And if you can look behind us here, this oak that I planted is really spreading out and is continuing to give us more shade. So hopefully by next year we'll really have the microclimate we're looking for. And we had a nice surprise this year. In the spring I planted this mulberry, Pakistani mulberry, and we got a bunch of mulberries off of it. And it didn't grow a bunch, but it was just getting established. And so all the leaves got pretty charred. I've been kind of taking off the burnt leaves as I find them. But if you go in closer, all this is brand new growth. It is like starting to just go off again, which is pretty cool. I didn't realize that you get a second round of the mulberries growing. And so we actually have some mulberries that are coming in right now in September. They're starting to ripen up. And if you look, they're actually everywhere. They're coming out with the new leaves. So that's super exciting. We got them in April, and we also, now we're getting them in September. So I'm kind of give you guys an update as we go through it, but it looks like we're going to get another month or two of mulberries here, which is super cool because we're trying to get fruit all throughout the year. So it's pretty neat that we're getting some fruit here in September. And back here, we've got the Valencia orange. This has been in the ground a long time, way too long for how small it is. But this year, I put it on a bubbler and we did the wood chips. We put a lot of wood chips down and fed pretty heavily. And it really did pretty well throughout the summer. I mean, it's not even too burnt. We have these shoots that are coming up at least a foot or two long. All new growth here, which is really cool. We've got some smaller Valencia oranges on there. So we've got a few of those. So this is absolutely the best recovery that I've seen on this tree. It usually gets fried in the summer. So the wood chips and the extra water really helped this year. And I think that the future's bright for this one. There was a time where I was gonna rip it out, but it looks super healthy. So very happy with that tree. And we'll move over to the fig, the brown turkey fig. This was the first year it was in the ground. I was worried about it. I've never had anything survive in this corner of the yard because of the wall and the beating that it takes. And the leaves got a little fried, but it came back pretty strong. It's already got a bunch of new growth starting on it. And so I think this one's a keeper. This one definitely survived the summer, the hell of a summer that we had, which is really neat. So did get a few figs this year, so you will get figs the first year. From the research I have done, it looks like next year will be a big year for figs. So, and we'll move over to this pomegranate here. Let me get over here. So this thing is doing awesome. If you can see the size of those, we've got at least 25-30 pomegranates on this. This is another tree that struggled. I, in the past, did not give it enough water, so we hooked up some, a timer to it this year, and well, some bubblers to it, and gave it water every 2 days. So one thing I want to say I learned about the pomegranates is that if you don't water them regularly, they will dry out and crack, and the fruit will get ruined. That's something that I was dealing with the last couple of years, and even with the hottest summer on record, all the pomegranates made it this year just by giving them water every other day in the middle of the summer. So this thing has doubled in size. I don't know if you can see, but it was about 3.5 feet tall at the beginning of the spring there, and it's well overgrown my height. So I'm 5'10", probably at 6 to 6.5 feet now. So really cool. See if we can get a few more of these pomegranates over here. So yeah, they are growing everywhere. One thing I noticed is this is the side that gets all the sun, and it looks like they really like the fruit on the side that gets the most sun. This gets the afternoon sun. I mean, they're everywhere. So about November we should have a new harvest of pomegranates, which would be really exciting. So super excited about that. This tree did super well this year. Just awesome. So, and then the last one I want to show you is, so we bought the Pakistani mulberry tree from Seamus and in town here locally, and I bought this from a nursery in California. It was called Easy 9, I believe. Ordered it online. It was tiny, so it was about this big, and you can go back on our spring video and see it. But got a lot of growth on this year. It did really well. I actually got a couple of mulberries off of it, and they were pretty long. I mean, you could tell that you could definitely tell it was a Pakistani mulberry. So I know I got the right variety, and I think the sky's the limit for this one. It did awesome. It's right here next to the concrete and everything, and it's still doubled in size over the summer. So it really likes the heat here. And so the plan is right here, this orange tree. I talked a little bit about it last spring. Just has never done that well. It's really getting some shoots on it now, but I think it's too late. I'm kind of past it. I'm over it. This thing's been in the ground for too long. So I am ordering a Sherwood jujube tree, and I don't know if anyone's seen those, but the Sherwood jujube tree grows straight up. It's a very upright growing tree, but it gets to 20-25 foot tall, and I'm looking to get a little bit more shade so that we can create that microclimate. So in a couple months I'll be doing a video when that tree comes in about November or December. I'm planning on planting that jujube right here, to add a little shade. So that's the one we're gonna add to the orchard this this fall. So we just have a few left, and then to show you over here. As far as improvements go, I think this and the pomegranate are probably have made the most progress. I planted this last year. It went through one summer prior, and it lost all its leaves, went through shock, and I really didn't think it was going to survive. But I've been doing some pretty heavy feeding and watering in it. One thing to note, people say that I've been to nurseries and people will tell you that orange trees, citrus trees cannot do good in the lawn. Well, this is in the lawn and it's doing really well. It's an Arizona sweet on sour orange rootstock, and we've got some nice oranges for being a second-year tree. The growth has been amazing. If you can see all this is all new growth just this fall. It kind of stunted a little bit when it got over 110, but ever since we've been getting the cooler nights, it just started growing like crazy again. Been giving it a little bit of wood ash and fish fertilizer, lots of hydrolyzed fish fertilizer, and that fertilizer seems to work a little bit better than the Alaska fish emulsion that I used to use. I'm getting a lot better results out of the hydrolyzed fish fertilizer. So, but if you look at this, we have probably about 20 oranges on it, and new growth everywhere, just bright green new growth. Super happy with this tree. I didn't think it was going to make it, but it's doing really well. So we will go over here real quick to the apple tree, the Anna apple. All this bright green is new growth. It really got burnt up, and most of the leaves fell off of it, but it's coming back strong like it does every year. So that is looking really good. And this is our Oro Blanco grapefruit. It's a mix between a pomelo and a grapefruit, and this thing has at least 20 of these grapefruits on it. Big improvement over last year. So lots and lots of grapefruits for this little tree. This is a semi-dwarf, and it really hasn't grown upright, but it's continued to kind of bush out, and it's putting off. This is the best year we've had by far, again with the same type of fertilizers that we've been using. So I think the key is just keeping them hydrated, especially during the summer. These things will struggle. You'll squeeze on these things after about 2 or 3 days without water, and they've lost all their moisture. That tells you that they need to be watered. So keeping up on the water is very important, and using the extra food even into the fall is very important. So, all right, we're gonna take you over to the almond tree and we'll finish up the video. We're at our all-in-one almond tree. I got this from RSI Growers. This thing, so when I was talking to the guy over there, he was like, do not use mulch, do not use anything to condition the soil. So I did use a half a bag, but that was it. This is mostly in straight caliche, and he grows them on these rootstocks that do really well here. If you can go pan down and look at the base of that thing, it's getting huge. I can't put my hand around it anymore. So it's become a very large tree, super healthy. It's still green. It doesn't even look like we had a summer. So really cool. And I wanted to go in and see if I can get an almond off of here, because we do have a few this year. So here's an almond off the tree. We have pulled probably about 8 or 9 of these off. We didn't get a ton this year, but this is actually the first year that we've gotten multiple. The first year I had it in the ground, it was small. It gave us 1 almond. This is giving us 8 or 9 this year, so it's progress. I think I'm gonna feed it. These things do need quite a bit of chill time, like 400 or 500 hours. So sometimes it doesn't hit the requirement and you don't get almonds. But if you look at it, it's a super green, lush tree. It's actually adding some shade to the yard, and it's super nice. I love it. I've had to actually prune this thing back a couple times because it keeps wanting to just grow straight up. So we've had a pretty good year this year, considering how hot it was. It's been a really good year. The water bills have been a little high. We had to really give it a lot of hydration in July and August, but just wanted to give you a tour of how everything's going. And as we plant our tree, I'll come back in November and show you guys the update and give you an update on the rest of the trees. So until then, we'll see you soon.